Hey everyone, Mr. Watts here. I'm out here at the Dorothy Pico Nature Center out on Highway 12, not too far from West High. Today we're going to go for a little hike. We're going to look at the different strata or different levels of the forest. So by the end of this quick video, you should be able to identify and describe the different levels or different strata of a forested community. So here we go. Let's take a hike in the woods. Hey guys, I'm down here laying on the ground here in the forest, and this level of the forest is called the forest floor. On the forest floor there's a lot of leaf litter, there's a lot of sticks that have fallen down, a lot of critters crawling around in here. But this stuff right here is really important. Smells good, smells like decomposition, and that's important because it's putting the nutrients back into the soil. All these leaves that are going to fall here in the next couple weeks, they're going to start to decompose, and all of that carbon and nitrogen and phosphorus and all the materials that make up those leaves, they're going to go back into the soil so the trees can use them to grow next year. So again, starting at the bottom level of the forest, that's the forest floor. To study this, kind of have to get down and dirty a little bit. That's okay. All right, we're going to continue to move up and find what our next level is. Our next level of the forest, we're going to move up just a little bit. As you can see, it's kind of all, as I'm walking through this right here, I'm going to sit down in here. This level is called the herb layer. The herb layer is called the herb layer, first of all, because all the plants down here are made of herbaceous material, so it's soft rather than woody material. And so this goes from, in this particular area, just a couple feet, maybe 3 feet off of the ground, is where we can see a lot of these herbaceous plants. But we also have to think, what are some adaptations they have on the herb layer? So one thing we definitely would have to have is their ability to use photosynthesis in shady areas. It's going to be, there's not a whole lot of direct sunlight. As you can see, there's a little bit here and there. But all these plants on the herbaceous layer, they are going to be well adapted for shade. So sometimes we'll actually see the herbaceous layer. They'll often be the first ones to flower in the springtime before the leaves of the canopy fill in. And that's kind of an adaptation. Is something just fell out of a tree over there. I thought it was going to get me. Anyways, that's an adaptation they have, is when they're going to flower, could help them survive and reproduce, because they still need that sunlight. So anyways, this is the herb layer. We're going to keep marching our way upwards. The next level of a forest is going to be the shrub layer. Now, actually looking around here, you can see it's pretty barren underneath of the canopy. There's not a whole lot of plants other than herbaceous plants. But the shrub layer, a shrub is going to be a woody plant that generally doesn't grow taller than about 15 feet or so. And oftentimes they're multi-stemmed. So I'm going to use this small tree behind me as an example. Okay, kind of, here it is, and you can see it kind of moves out, and you know, it's not very tall, not as tall as my hand. And so in other areas, this doesn't have a real good defined shrub layer, but a shrub layer is going to have many of these woody stem plants, and again, they're going to provide more resources for other animals such as birds and mammals and insects and other things that are living here in the forest to meet those habitat needs. So again, we started at the floor, had the herbaceous layer. We're moving up a little higher to about 15 to 20 feet or so, depending on the forest we're in, for the shrub layer. And we got 2 more layers left, and we're going to continue on our way. Alright, so the next layer above the shrub layer is a little bit taller. It's called the understory. The understory leaves, they don't quite meet the top. They're not the canopy. They don't really receive the most amount of sunlight. So they are going to be adapted to the shade, such as those plants found in the herbaceous layer, as well as the woody stem layer. Sorry, there's like a large insect flying around over here. Alright, back to trees anyways. Sorry, the cool thing about the forest is that, you know, you never really know what you're going to see, and I'm the only one out here. It was kind of cool. So one other thing I'm going to try to do, so we can maybe get in the understory a little bit, our next level, is I'm going to try to climb that tree. Now, I got to warn you, it's been a while since I've been climbing a tree, but I'm going to give it a shot, and hopefully I'll meet you up there. Well, we'll see you in a couple seconds. Alright, so it's been a while since I climbed a tree, but we're not up here too high. Only about 10 or so feet. But as you look around, you can see some of the leaves on the trees. They're sitting about 20, 25 feet high. There's some that are a little taller that don't quite reach the sky. They don't quite reach the top of the forest. And coming back here real quick, don't want to make you too dizzy. This layer is called the understory. It's underneath of the canopy. So again, these trees are still going to be adapted for some shade. And as soon as we're almost to the top, but the higher we go, the closer to the sun we get. And the trees that are found on our next level, they're going to require the most amount of sunlight. And that's why they're adapted to be nice and tall. They could reach out and grab that sunlight. So now I just got to get down from this tree, I guess. Alright, I'll meet you at the top. We'll go to a vantage point where we can actually see the canopy rather than me trying to climb up there, because I'm not being too successful right now. So, see you then. Alright, so I'm up on a hilltop here. Sorry I'm out of breath a little bit, but kind of moved pretty quick. Let's talk about the highest level of the forest, and that'd be the canopy. If you look out here, you can see the leaves are changing color. You can see all those trees whose leaves are really reaching high, trying to gather all of that sunlight. So those are the needs of the trees in the canopy. They're tallest to collect the most amount of sunlight, and you know, that's basically it. It's actually out-competing some of those trees that are not, especially those ones that are not shade tolerant. Let me get out of the sun here for a second. So, back to our main purpose here, we need to describe and identify the levels of strata, or the levels of a forest. And so we started at the bottom when I was laying on the ground. We had the floor, moved up one level to the herbaceous layer, shrub layer, understory. Then finally we got to a vantage point up on top here to take a look at the canopy, because my climbing skills are pretty poor, as you could tell from earlier. But each of those different levels of the forest provide a lot of habitat. And each of those habitats, there's different organisms with different niches. And by having various strata within a forest, that allows for more biodiversity within that forest. There's more niches that can be occupied, the more levels of habitat, or the more levels of the forest we have. All right? So again, that was a quick overview of the levels of the forest. Hopefully I didn't run too long. I know I rambled on here, but it's kind of fun out here. So anyways, hopefully that's helpful.